Happy Rom-Com Month, everybody. We are doing 28 Days of Love, and today is day 21. I am your host, Melissa Forziat. I'm a keynote speaker. When I speak, my topic is Take the Doughnut. It's another way to say Carpe Diem, and it comes from this weird thing that happened in college. I left an actual donut on a table, and it became an object lesson for me and what it looks like to leave an opportunity behind. So I don't want to do that anymore. I want to take the donut. Now, from time to time, I'll give myself a take the donut challenge. I'll say there's something I want to do, something I want to go after, and I'll make it official so I can hold myself accountable to it. But this time, I'm opening up that challenge to anybody who wants to join. So here we are, 28 Days of Love. It is day 21, and we're talking about Can't Buy Me Love. We're going to say actually 10 things I love about this film, but I'm not doing this one alone. I've got a friend. Julie Alley from Survivor 45 is joining me. Hello, Julie.
This is so fun. Thank you for having me.
This is such a blast. Julie and I previously covered Say Anything for day 6 on the Rom-Com Month list. But Julie, tell us just a little bit about yourself. Like what should we know about you? And also, what's your journey with this film?
So I was on Survivor 45. That seems like ages ago. I think Survivor 48 is out right now by the time we air this. So go out and watch that. Amazing. I am an attorney. However, I don't practice as an attorney. I'm a trust and wealth officer at a bank, Pinnacle Financial Partners. So I love it. I am happy in career, happy at home. My kids are amazing. I've got a daughter who just got her master's in counseling, and my son is in his first year of law school. So I'm a proud mom. I'm still, and that's kind of how I measure my happiness, which is silliness. But like they're doing well, I'm doing well. And they will probably never watch this, so they don't have to know that. I will tell them, but they're over the mom thing. So, but I say that because they will probably cringe because I will date myself. This movie, I think, you got to correct me if I'm wrong, came out in 1987. Is
Mhm.
that the right date?
That's the date.
Um, I was in seventh grade, y'all. This movie is so good, even in today's terms. Like, you will go back and watch this movie, and maybe you'll judge us because, like, there is a section in the movie. I don't think this is on our list. But like, so and so, her boyfriend's on TV, and like they had to run and turn on the TV to catch it. There's no rewinding, there's no pause. There's just you gotta go and catch it. Anyway, it's little things like that about this movie, and we can get into our tens because this movie is classic. I love it so very much. And it's got Patrick Dempsey. Do you need another reason to watch it? It's so good.
I can't think of another reason. Oh, there's actually we can think of a lot of reasons to watch it. We're going to share all of them
Yeah,
with you, but
all of them. That's
he's like
true.
a whole list by himself.
He is. He's
I
so good
mean,
at this. And this is Patrick Dempsey back in 1987, right? Like he is like so cute before he was Miss Dr. McDreamy. So it's so good.
yeah, I mean this is how he could become Dr. Mc. Anyway, so
Yes.
Can't Buy Me Love. This film, as Julie said, it's from 1987. This is directed by Steve Rash, written by Michael Swordlick, and it stars Patrick Dempsey as Ronald Miller, Amanda Peterson as Cindy Mancini, Courtney Gaines as Kenneth Werman, Tina Caspary as Barbara, Seth Green as Chucky Miller. So many great people in this film, but those are just a few of them. And the way that we're going to cover this, it's not a scene by scene deep dive. What this is a top 10 list of our favorite things about this film. And once again, Julie and I had almost entirely overlapped our lists. So we did some quick changes right before this because we have so many things we love about this movie. But basically, I'm going to do the even numbers. Julie's going to do the odd numbers. And then you get to jump in and add your own favorite things to this film. But I'm going to start off with number 10. Okay. So this is a really small detail. Sometimes we'll mention small details, sometimes it might be bigger things. This one's a small detail. I love this. So Cindy brings her poem out to Ronald. Ronald reads it and realizes just how talented she is. And he's washing his car, so there's water nearby. And he takes the poem and he puts it in the car to prevent it from getting wet because he takes her potential very seriously and he wants to encourage her. And I feel like Ronald loses his way a little bit in this film, but I always remember that Ronald's also the guy who put her poem in his car to prevent it from getting wet because he thought it was so special and important.
Fun point. I love that. I mean, I remember just seeing that, and I got caught up into then they of course get into the fight with the water hose and everything else. Meanwhile, the poem's protecting the car. It's a good one. I love it.
It's one of those details that I think, for an actor who's less capable, I mean, I guess it was
Mhm.
probably scripted that way. I feel like in that I've done a little bit of improv in my life, and it's always interesting when people try to improvise with props because they'll start with the prop in their hands, and then like a minute in, they'll forget they ever had a prop in their hands, and suddenly it's like, where did it go? And I think this is
Right.
one of those things that a less capable actor, um, it might have been a distraction, or it might not have been something they thought about so much, but there was just this real ceremony about taking this very important thing to her and keeping it safe. And
Love it.
like he had the wherewithal, Patrick Dempsey, to make sure that that was like a small thing but a very intentional thing,
I
and
love it.
it made me melt.
I love it. I love it. That's a good one.
Well, so okay, small thing for number 10, but for
Yeah.
number 9, what do you have?
So I'm going, you went small for number 10. So I'm going big for number 9, like big picture for number 9, which is the whole fake dating. Like 1987, this set the standard. Like literally, I was in the seventh grade when this came out. But I mean, it captures the classic teenage angst. There's divisions, there's the cool kids, there's the nerds, there, like all of the divisions. And to have the classic Patrick Dempsey, Ronald, pay $1,000 to Cindy to pretend to date him. Like how many romantic, I don't know how many you're doing this month that copies that. Like how do you get into the popular crowd? You pretend that someone from the popular crowd likes you. And it gets kind of summed up like, so that's like the big theme that I'm like, this was revolutionary. Like the thought of it, I was like, this is so genius. And how it leads up, it's so good, like with the dress and the suede, it's all summed up with him in the window holding his $1,000 and like on the other side is the telescope, which is old life, and like her with the popular, he can get her out of this if she agrees, so it's just there and it's classic. It's so good.
A
It's so
couple
good.
things I love about what you said. First of all, the setup of it with Ronald giving exposition, but we can't hear it because it's through the lens of the telescope. And I love that
Yeah.
they do that because there's just a little bit of
Yes.
extra story that we don't need repeated to us. And he's just like very animated, like explaining it to her, and we just get to watch him be animated, which is such a smart
So
way.
true.
But
So true.
I wanted to also circle back to your point, like that the buying your way into popularity, that like fake dating thing is a trope, but also I think in rom-coms, a cousin to that is um nerdy person becomes cool. And in this film it's one and the same thing. In
Yep.
most it probably is. But
Yep.
what I think is interesting about this one is that it's the guy.
Right.
Because I think a
That's
lot of
so true.
times in more modern movies, it was the girl is the ugly duckling, if you will, and
He's all
becomes
that.
beautiful. She's All That is
Yeah.
the first movie that comes to mind too.
Definitely
And
based off of this one. Yes.
yeah.
Just so fun.
But
Another good one. But
there are
you're
other
right.
like made for TV 80s movies that did this as well. Like just I can't remember the name of it. With Tony Danza. Oh my gosh. But like this idea, like the girl is the one who becomes the cool one. And I think this is it's fun to see this sort of origin story. I don't know if there was a film before this that did it, but
Either.
yeah, it's to
It's
see it be a
so good.
guy. It's so cool.
Yes. And it's done so well. He goes from geek to chic, and it's so good.
It
Yeah,
is
it's fun to
amazing
watch.
how quickly they were able to do that. Like how quickly
They
they
did it.
take off his
Yes.
glasses, they put gel in his hair, and they rip off his sleeves.
Rip
Cool.
rip off the sleeves. Done. You can now walk through the cool hall. It's so good.
Yeah, it's amazing. Oh my gosh. All right. So that's definitely a big picture one for number 9. All
Yes.
right, number 8. shout out to Seth Green, who plays Chucky. He is so switched on as a kid actor.
So true.
We have seen kid actors who are not like this. We all have. You know it. There may be one or
Yes.
two on this rom-com month list that I won't
Right.
name, but
Right.
he is like, I feel like I'm watching a 30-year-old
Right.
in like a, I don't know what age he actually was, but in this
Right.
tiny body of a young boy, it's creepy. He's so good. He's like, not only his line delivery, but the falling out of the car.
Ah,
Where did this kid get his talent? It's unbelievable. He's so good and he's so
he's
with
so
it.
good.
Ugh. You just
Hey,
know
Dad.
that one
Come
day
on,
I'll
Dad. I was talking to Ma. Like, he just doesn't. It's so good. I love him.
yeah, he adds so much life to this movie and you just
Yes.
know that kid's going places.
No,
Like
that's fair. Yes.
and yeah, I just had to mention him for number 8.
No, he gets his own line for sure. He's so good.
Mhm.
He's so good.
Number
Oh, like even him
7.
sitting there with, hey, this is how I got an A in my French project, and he made the guillotine for the Barbie. So funny. Like, what is this? And he just delivers it. He's so good. That's fair.
I wonder when you have a script like this and you know that a kid who's playing that age needs to do that much in this film. Like, I wonder if they wrote more for him when they saw who they got, or if they just
Right.
had what they had in the script and hoped for the best.
Right.
Because
That's so true.
most people, there are some child actors who could do this, but there are some who cannot. And
Yes. I agree with that. He just nailed it. He makes the movie. It's so good.
yeah. Oh man. All right, so that's number
That's really fun.
8. What do you have
That's
for
really
number
fun.
7?
Okay, number 7, I've got the African anteater ritual dance. Could be part of the funniest thing in the movie. Like you're all like as me, I remember watching, like you're cringing, right? Even Ronald and Chuck, Seth Green, fighting over the remote. They think it's American Bandstand, it's really PBS. Like all of it is so good. So he introduces this dance thinking it's a new dance, and it's so embarrassing, but yet part of the culture, if you're cool, people will do it. So then the whole gym doing this dance is hilarious. And then there's the little cut over to the nerd sitting over the side. And they're like, it's actual dance. Like they know what it is, but like it just captured, it said so much without having to, just through this. It was so fun. I love it.
I'm so glad this was on your list. For those who have been looking through the rom-com month list, you will notice there are multiple movies that are dance-focused movies. I do dance, I do choreography. I love when movies have this feature. Um, and the when I saw this scene come up and you watch these people on screen that Ronald is watching to learn their dance, is like, oh my God, that's an African dance. That is no joke. That's not an easy style to get a room full of teenagers to try to mimic. And Ronald is committed. He's so focused on it. Like he can't even notice anybody's reactions. He just does this dance over and over. There's a reason this dance had to be on such a short loop. There's no way you're going to
Yes.
teach this whole room full of teenagers how to
No,
do this and it's going to look like
no.
this if it's a long
Right.
dance. But
Right.
yeah,
Right.
oh, so brilliant. And the button on that, you're right. Like all of the kids in the nerd section are like the African anteater.
Yes, it's so good. It's like called out. It's so funny. And it even, bringing into the end when he's, been found out and he's gone from up here to zero status, and you look in at New Year's Eve, in another room full of the New Year's Eve parties doing that dance. So it's like it becomes its life of its own, which was a nice little touch, I thought.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah. So good. Oh, I love that you brought this one up. It's one of the most memorable scenes in the movie, I would think. Not
I
I
think
would say
so.
not the most, but maybe the second most, possibly.
I
I'm
think,
pretty sure you're
yeah,
going to mention the
second
most.
most. If you're gonna think about this movie, it's definitely the Jim doing the African, yeah, Indian
Yeah.
dance. Hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
So good.
Well, okay, so number six, I'm sure there's a lot we can say about Cindy, but I'm going to say something really specific here.
Hmm.
I love the fact that Cindy is so able to think on her feet. I think this is something that really distinguishes her from all of the other female characters in this movie. It makes her it shows that she is not like all of the other popular girls.
Mhm.
When it really struck me is when they're first trying to sell this idea that she's with Ronald, and somebody's like, "Oh yeah, you're the one who sits in the visiting section at all the games." And she's like, "Yeah, to perpetrate psychological warfare on the visiting
Yes.
fans." And she just like jumps in
Cool
with that.
spirit.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like just something about that really felt
Ooh.
like, okay, this is a really we need to make her stand out in as many ways as we can. And before
Yeah.
you get too far into the plot and sort of see people's personalities and their moral choices, this is a character
Hmm.
trait that they give her that distinguishes her, and I love that they gave that to her.
I love that. I love that. Um, I feel like that blends into what number was out for you?
It was six for me.
So that goes to five, which I love because that's like a little moment that you've got on Cindy, which in thinking on her feet. So that's why I think the one that needs to stand alone is Cindy and who she is. Because she's got the depth. And she's not like your popular girl, like Elle Woods kind of like, which is an amazing character. Love that movie. But like they make Cindy stand alone in the fact that yes, she can think on her feet. And she like even in the line when she gives Ronald, she's like, just don't lose yourself. Like popularity is work. So it's almost like she's a little stepped removed. So she's not just in it. She realizes this is work and I choose to make the work to go in it. I don't know. It gives her another level. So and it also because you love Ronald, right? So it's like, of course he's gonna like somebody that's got a little bit more depth. So it just I don't know, like all of who she is, I feel like it's a more in-depth character than just what you first think. So it's little tiny things like that. And then that she writes the poems, and you're kind of like, oh, of course, she's only going to share that. Like, looking back, you're like, if you watch it again, you're like, this is so cliche. But I'm like, no, it wasn't at the time. This is original. Like this started the cliche. So I loved her. So I feel like her as a character should have its own top 10.
And there it is. She gets number five all to
Yeah.
herself.
All to herself.
Brilliant.
She's a great character.
That's Cindy Mancini. I see
It's
why Ronald was into her.
right. It's so good. And Amanda Peterson does a great job. Well, we can go into her. We don't need to go into her as that, but I feel like she died young.
I
Didn't she?
think so
Wasn't she in
too.
another and then because you don't see her, so I feel like that's like her side story.
If
Like, but
if
she
you
does
want
an
to
amazing job.
filibuster there for a minute, let me just look that up
Yes.
real quick. Because she did. She died. Well, you know what? Actually,
Or did
it's
she not?
2015.
Okay.
I
So
thought it
not
was
as
I thought she was younger when she died, but
I did
no.
too.
Yeah, I mean she was what, 43? I mean that's young, but
It is.
yeah.
I don't know. You can if you edit that out, that's fine.
No, 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 no,
Or
no.
take
That's
me.
actually something that I was thinking about when I put this on the list. It's weird because when you watch a film back and then you kind of know the lives or the um
Right.
it's like watching a Bruce Willis movie now. I feel like it's like,
Oh,
oh,
that's so
it's hard
true.
to separate sometimes uh
Right.
the the actor from the character that they play in that way when there's like a health thing involved. And so this for some reason that happens for me with Cindy Mancini. But I mean, okay, well, we're gonna take a hard left turn in terms of the segue here. Look,
Okay, yes.
number five was Cindy Mancini. Number four, this is a very small detail, and I don't know if this is the first time that something like this happened. Probably isn't, but this the slow clap after Ronald gives the
Love
big
that you have
speech
that.
to defend Kenneth.
Let's go. Yes.
Let's just be ourselves. Kenneth wasn't hurting anybody, and he storms
Right.
off.
Right. That gets it. Good. That is so good. Which I like the slow clap and the speech, and it's like that whole last scene. We all went to sixth grade together. You broke your arm once before. Like it was like let's sum it all up. We were
Yeah.
all equals at one point, and now we've got all these little cliques. Oh, but just with that guy and the slow clap, that's a good pull. That should definitely get it. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, look,
Is that
everybody
number
who's watching,
seven?
is that
That's
the
good.
first time that's ever like walk me through name a movie or TV show before this that had a slow
Right,
clap? It could
right.
have been many. I don't know, but I am
Right. I
curious if
need
this
to
is a
know
thing.
now. I do. That's so true.
Yeah. Oh man.
That's a
I
good one.
mean, the slow clap, a real sign of it's funny because a slow clap can either be a sign of great respect or a sign of you're really making fun of somebody. And it's
Right.
like
Right.
you just look for the context every time.
Yes. That's so good. And that one, and then he gets everybody applauding. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good pull. I like that one.
All right. So number four. That was number four. So for you, what do you have for number three?
So number three for me, um, the airplane graveyard.
Mhm.
I mean, I feel like this movie, has all the tropes, the fake dating, all the things, like even starting the slow clap if it did. But the airplane graveyard, it's so let's have the nerdy person take the, not so nerdy person to a nerdy place, but make it romantic. And I'm here for it. I am 100% here for it. Like I am there with Ronald, like, and he's just so into it. So that's like also his character, when he's there and he's into it, and the telescope scene, and there, and of course, like Cindy can't help as us as viewers, we're falling in love with Ronald. Like you have to fall in love with Ronald. And when he shows what he loves and who he's, anyway, it's a romantic, it's awesome. It's classic. It's so good.
I want to pull from that. I mean, it's a very memorable scene. Certainly another that the image of them going into that graveyard, the image of the idea of him showing her the things that he loves and her getting to see that passion. I wanted to take a specific moment from that for my number
Yeah.
two. Ronald didn't ruin the moon. He just changed it. So like now that she's seen the moon through his eyes, through the telescope of it all, now that she has learned to look at it in this more like scientific clinical way, it's not
Right.
it's not that she like because she used to think of the moon as this mystical romantic thing, and now
Yes.
he has explained it to her in this way that's more about science, and he's like, yeah, sorry I ruined that for you. She's like, no, 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 you didn't ruin it. You just changed it for me. And like, yes, it's more of a scientific thing, but she's looking at it through his eyes, and there's magic in
Yes.
that. And
Ah, she is
it's
in love with him right there, and he
yeah,
is missing it because he's so clueless. That's a good line.
Ronald loses his way, and she's finding it. But yeah, I
Yes.
think that that really is the turn
Oh,
for her. And
yes, I love what you
she,
said. He loses his way as she's finding it. That's good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if she ever actually, now that I say that, like, was she ever, did she ever not exactly have her way? Because I feel like she always
Fair.
understood what, like, even with the jacket, she knew what was
Yes.
happening. She was
Yes.
cognizant of what was happening with it.
Yes.
But this, I don't know. She's always been an articulate character, I guess. But yeah,
Yes.
as he gets really clouded in what he's seeing, she's just like,
Yes.
yeah, she holds firmly.
She does. That's fair. You're right. You're right. Which is fun because like it's almost like he's showing her the moon through the telescope when she has always seen things so clearly. So I feel like what he has done is it's almost like he matches who she's always seen the world very clear, more practical. So I feel like that's how they lined up. It was like which is part of the reason she loved him. She was like, yeah, that fits my worldview too. Like I don't know. They matched.
Yeah.
It's a good scene.
In a way, even though in that scene she's like she had seen the moon in a romantic way, I almost feel like he was the more romantic character at first. He
Mm.
had all this passion. He had all of the I don't know, it's tricky. Maybe they're both at that same level because she does the poetry on the side,
Does
right?
she mention the moon in her poetry? I feel like it might be in there. I don't know. It's like
Mm.
a little subtle scene, but she takes it from romantic and then you're right, they're both
It's
practical and
interesting.
romantic.
Like the
Yeah,
more we talk about this film, the more I'm like, oh, these
yes,
characters are really on the same level, but in different
they are.
ways.
And at different timings. It's just they can't get the timing right,
Hmm.
until they do,
Yeah. Which
which
let's
leads me to number one.
yeah.
Because that's when the timing all hits. It's like we've now gone through this amazing transformation. I feel like Chuck summed it up, and now I can't remember it. He was like, you took my brother from to zero to
Mhm.
nothing status, something like that. So at the end, but because number one for sure is the lawnmower scene at the very end. Ronald has accepted who he is. He's back to mowing lawns. He's on there. He's shirtless. It's amazing. But instead of like his hat, he's got the cowboy hat. So he's kind of back to who he is, accepting it. But yet, I don't know, a little bit changed because the cowboy hat, for some reason, he doesn't look like a geek on that lawnmower to me. So he's there. And then of course Cindy ignores him and goes off with their friends in the convertible, and he's just driving, and then you hear her calling and she's coming and she's like and then she switches to Donald, which is from the beginning, and jumps on that lawnmower with him and puts the hat on. It's so good. It's like you can't get a better ending. Get a better ending. I'm like, how can you take lawnmowing and make it romantic? Can't Buy Me Love has done that. I'm like, I don't think I should ever mow the lawn without a cowboy hat. Like, it's so good.
That's it. I hadn't seen this movie in forever, but I remember vividly the first time I saw this movie when I was young. And I remember seeing her jump on the back of his lawnmower and they literally ride off into the sunset. And I cracked up. I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened in a movie. And I was too young to know if it would hold up. But it's still, when I was thinking about movies to put on this list, I was like, Lawnmower. Yes, this is
Right.
happening.
So good. Oh my gosh. He's sweaty. He's still, and he might even be crying. I don't know. It's all, and then she comes into the sunset. It's such a good ending. Yeah, there's few endings that are that good. And
I
it's
don't
appropriate. The
I don't
movie
know
hit
how it's
on all
supposed to get any
cylinders.
better.
You
Name a
can't on
better
all
ending.
cylinders. It was so good. And they're like, we need to make an agreement, I know it was all so good.
Yeah.
So good.
I mean, especially with the cowboy hat. Like he's the cowboy in this scenario and it just happens to be a lawnmower instead of a horse.
Right?
I mean, it's
So
just
good.
like if you can think of this movie without thinking of that, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, no, fair. Fair. That's why the lawnmower just beats the anteater dance. Like like it's those two things, and that's but it is not a waste of your time if you want to go and pay what, $2.99 on one of your programs to rent this movie. That's a good spend.
It really is. And I think if you're younger and you hadn't seen this film before, I think it's interesting to think about the films that you have seen that played
Yes.
with some of these tropes because this is an
Yes.
earlier take on something that other modern movies have done or more modern movies have done. So it's always interesting to see like early ones in the genre doing
Right.
these things. And I think this one does it in a couple different ways actually. So it's pretty fun to see this
It's so good.
play out. But that's our list of 10 things we love about Can't Buy Me Love. What do you all love about this film? Feel free to jump into the comments and share your favorite things about this movie. And let's see what we missed because I'm sure there's lots of things that we didn't even get to. But yeah, before we close it out, Julie, anything that you want to direct people to? Anything that you want to make sure they're aware of?
Yeah, I really want to know your comments. I want to know on Can't Buy Me Love. So share them with us because I just love it. And I'm thinking of more right now as we're talking that we didn't get to cover. So I want to see if y'all match those. Um, and have fun this month.
Yeah, and what else is coming up? You might be asking. Well, next film we're going to cover, it's going to be day 22, and we're going to talk about Love and Basketball with Sanaa Lathan and Omar Epps and a whole amazing cast of characters. There are a few films on my list that are like sport rom-com films, and this is one of them. So, if that's your jam, this is the movie you need to check out. That's coming up next time. But in the meantime, everybody, happy Rom-Com Month. Get love, get donuts. Bye.